Well, this is dangerous right here. There is a possibility that this guy gets traded before this video goes live on YouTube. Although I will say, Patrick Allvin and the Vancouver Canucks, they have not made any early morning trades so far throughout the course of their tenure, I guess. At least this year. Tyler Myers' trade was like 11 a.m. something? Anyways, today we're talking about another guy on the Vancouver Canucks right now, whose name was in trade talks for a good amount of the past 48 hours or so, but whose update is one that we need to talk about, because it's not looking good for the Vancouver Canucks and the Conor Garland trade sweepstakes with the New York Islanders. Now, we did mention a few days ago that Conor Garland as well as Tyler Myers were both names linked over to the Islanders in pretty big reports coming out of Stefan Rosner on the island. Rosner, of course, is one of the more reputable journalists in the area, and he was going out there and talking about how Garland and Myers were both persons of interest for the New York Islanders. But Tyler Myers got traded to Dallas, and Conor Garland, at the time of recording this audio, is still a Vancouver Canuck. So where have things gone since then? Well, let's go out there and read some tweets, shall we? Take a look at what Stefan Rosner said earlier this morning. I'm hearing that the Islanders' talks with the Canucks regarding Conor Garland have stalled for now. Serious conversations yesterday, but there are other teams in the mix. It doesn't sound like the Islanders are willing to part ways with what Vancouver wants, but they do like the player. So, this may be, not saying it's guaranteed to be, but it may be, a similar situation for the Vancouver Canucks with what they experienced when trading away Kiefer Sherwood. Sherwood was on the market for a long time. We all knew that he was on the market. And Vancouver was like, okay, we think we can get a first for this guy. First, maybe even a first and a prospect. First. And then it got to a point where the agent had to step in and was like, guys, you can't get a first. Come on. Lower the gosh darn price. Send my client somewhere new where he can get paid. You're not getting a first. And then Allvin was like, okay, fine. We'll send him to San Jose. We'll get 2 seconds and, Cole Clayton, whomever it was, in exchange. That worked out very well for the client Kiefer Sherwood because he got paid yesterday. We also talked about that too. Massive contract extension for Kiefer Sherwood. Big congrats over to him and his family. But I'm thinking for Conor Garland, maybe this is a similar situation here for Patty Allvin and the Vancouver Canucks. Saying to themselves, yeah, we have a high price because Conor Garland is a good player. He's this, he's that. We understand why you want him. But because he is this good, he's going to demand this for us on the trade market. And Islanders management is apparently like, no, sorry, we're not going to pay that price. Here's an interesting reply. My theory is the pursuit of Garland stems from the fact that the player the St. Louis Blues want in return for Kyrou is Simon Holmstrom. I don't think they want Drouin or Duclair. Would you blame them for asking? He might have to get Garland to replace Holmstrom. Speculation on my part. Isles Brass saw the fan reaction and said, never mind. Any idea on the ask from Vancouver? Yzerman, Duclair, Drouin plus a first for Garland, Besser, Kane as the reported deal. What in the world? Who was reporting that? What in the hell? Where was that reported? Yeah, okay. Maybe that's like the second last time we actually go out there and read Twitter to get some info here. But let's go out there and take a look at some other tweets. Tyson Cole, he tweeted this out yesterday afternoon. There's only one scout in the building for the Vancouver Canucks and Carolina Hurricanes game. The Islanders. Stefan reported yesterday he was hearing trade talks between the Canucks and the Islanders surrounding Conor Garland. Now, for reference, the Isles also did have a game yesterday against the Anaheim Ducks. St. Louis was the only team scouting them, but they had 2 scouts at that game. Vancouver had an Islander scout at their game, so maybe there was some intrigue in Conor Garland that they wanted to analyze. Maybe it wasn't the best game to go out there and watch Garland, considering he ended up leaving because he got hurt with a hit from Sean Walker, I think it was. But either way, Garland did return, so I guess it's okay. I don't know. He also said talks stalled because the ask isn't being met. Things can change in a minute, though. That's a very good point, Cody Chong. Finally, let's go over to what Pierre LeBrun wrote about in The Athletic earlier yesterday afternoon. Big shout out over to Canucks News Summaries for going out there and summarizing most of the points that LeBrun makes, but there's a very intriguing element of Conor Garland talk that takes up the bottom of the article. Take a look at this. The phone line suddenly burned up Tuesday for the Vancouver Canucks on Conor Garland. Half a dozen teams called, but the Canucks have not received a firm trade offer. LeBrun suspects an offer may be coming given the level of interest. He thinks that there is more likely a trade that comes in June rather than right now. The Capitals, Bruins, Islanders, and the Devils are the teams to watch. Now, speaking about the timeline, whether or not this is actually something we could expect to see soon, in June or whenever, maybe after Conor Garland's trade protection kicks in, let's head over to what Frank Seravalli spoke about on Halford and Brough earlier yesterday. And I just wanted to say as well, it was kind of a miracle, the fact that Seravalli was even on Halford and Brough in the first place. Like, after the debacle that went down last week where him and Brough were essentially just arguing, it was a really interesting week to come where fans were kind of asking themselves, hey, is Frank Seravalli going to come back onto the show? Is Jason Brough going to apologize for really making Frank look like a fool on air? Not that he needs to, but is he going to do that to make the guy's feelings calm down? Good on these professionals for not letting any of that, I'm not even going to say like animosity or whatever, that's not the right word to use, but letting any of the tension from last week come into this week's programming. But Seravalli spoke about Conor Garland on Halford and Brough yesterday. He said, I don't think it has been as active as it has been presented. Someone really close and connected to it estimated the chances that Garland is moved by Friday to be at 15%. So, apparently, it doesn't even seem all too likely that Conor Garland gets traded sometime within the next few days. We could be looking at a June deal. Might I remind you, Conor Garland still has a little bit of free reign before the trade protection kicks in on July 1st. The NHL Draft is a few days before that, so throughout June there should be some momentum for Vancouver if they wanted to build towards a Conor Garland trade. It's possible that that happens. But for right now, it seems like the Islanders, they wanted to get this done. They could not send an offer Vancouver's way because Vancouver just wanted too much stuff. Islanders fans were probably excited just to see this go down. Conor Garland is a nice fit for their system, I think. Him and Bo Horvat obviously have some history together, but other than that, I would honestly say that Conor Garland is a fine Vancouver Canuck that just isn't really playing to his best ever since that Quinn Hughes trade went down. With all that said, though, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Conor Garland trade update between him and the New York Islanders? The lack of an update, I guess you could say instead. Do you think Conor Garland is going to get traded? Do you think he gets traded to the Islanders? If you're an Isles fan, how do you feel about this entire situation? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.